Happy National Heroscape Day, everyone. I just got my Wave 2 stuff delivered and also picked up Cornelius Breach from my LGS. So I'm going to be unboxing these today and seeing what we've got in store. I am still getting over a cold, so if my voice sounds stuffy, that's why. Let's go ahead and go through these one by one. I'm going to have to cut it down to one at a time just so that I can get these all into frame. I just want to show everything at once from the outset because it looks cool together. So let's go ahead and start with Cornelius. Okay, I changed my mind a bit. I'm not going to do Cornelius first. I'm filming this after I've done all the terrain review, but I want to review the terrain in a separate video from the figures. So Cornelius will be in the figure review. This is going to be the land review. Alright, so here is the water kit. This one is the first kit to introduce 3 hex water tiles. So we've never had those before in Classicscape. It's also got some wellspring water in there, which is cool since we didn't get very much of that in the Battle for the Wellspring. Let me go ahead and open this up. This one is shrink wrapped, and you can see what's included there. 24 1-hex sparkly water tiles, 6 1-hex wellspring water tiles, and 5 of the 3-hex new sparkly water tiles. So I think it's just on the side here. There we go. So this is a super good pack to get, in my opinion, if you're a longtime Heroscape fan, because you probably have mostly the opaque water from the 2nd edition Rise of the Valkyrie and onwards. Looks like I opened it the wrong direction there, but that's okay. So this is what we've got. Let's go ahead and pull this out. So here is the triple water hexes. I'm excited to use these, not because they're particularly good for competitive play, but there was a scenario that Renegade just put out the other day that uses some of these, and they're good for just building a lot of surface area of water pretty quickly, so you don't have to do it individually, tile by tile. They're not necessarily groundbreaking or revolutionary in any sort of sense, but it is cool to have extra options. Now I do see what looks to be some imperfection that got caught in the plastic, so that little black speck is actually molded into the piece there. There does seem to be a couple like scuffs on these. I don't know if that's coming across on camera. One of these down here has a little bit more. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, there it is. A little disappointing considering these are brand new, but whatever. You're not really going to care once you're playing with them. But as I was saying, this is a great pack if you're an existing Heroscape player, because probably most of your opaque water tiles are getting brittle and looking pretty rough nowadays. So I would definitely recommend getting this to replace your existing water tiles, or if you're a more casual player like me, just having some pretty looking water is cool to get for a reasonable price. The water tiles look good as ever. These are almost identical to the original sparkly water tiles from Rise of the Valkyrie, so they look great. Really no complaints with this set. I think it retails for $30 from Renegade. I think that is fair for the amount of water tiles that you do get here, as well as the new water type. I certainly don't think competitive players are going to really want this set unless, like I said, they're replacing their original opaque water that just looks bad and is brittle now. So if you need it for that reason, I would recommend getting it, or if you just like the pretty looking water. Not much to say about this one. There is a rule sheet. Don't think there's anything spectacular going on there. Nope. But that's okay. One last thing is I saw some complaints online about the fact that these don't have lines going in between the hexes here like they did for the original ice tiles, like for the bases, for the glaciers back in the day. For a 3-hex, it's not really that big of a deal, because like you can see, if I place my figure here, it's pretty obvious based on the outside angles, like the outside edges here, that you've got 4 out of the 6. So it's pretty clear if you're in that hex or not. Same thing with over here and so on. If this had more, than 3 edges. Like if it had 6, it could get a little bit more ambiguous about which hex you're on. I don't see it as a problem right now. It is an odd thing that Renegade didn't include the lines in between to show the individual hexes on these, but I think it does make for a cleaner look if you have a whole like ocean of these tiles. So in my opinion, it's not that big of a deal. And mostly if you're using these casually, which is where I expect you'll see these in play, you're not really going to care that much. Nobody's splitting hairs about, oh, am I fully on this tile or am I fully, that kind of stuff. Nobody really cares in those scenarios. So I think it's not too big of a deal. Alright, so next up is the big terrain pack. This is the Lands of Valhalla. Now, the interesting thing about this one is that it includes the new 24 hex sand tiles, which we haven't seen before. It'll be interesting to see if the issues with the connections on the sides of the 24 hexes is as pronounced as it was in Wave 1. Additionally, I've heard reports that they have changed the look of the top of the hexes to be more in line with the 7s and smaller hexes, so hopefully that's been remedied here. Let's take a look at the box before we open it. This land set retails for $70, and it includes basically the same quantity, not exactly, but close to the same quantity as what you would get in the master set. So for 70 bucks, that feels reasonable when the unpainted master set is $125. Why? Why is that not connected? I mean, I guess this is a more like casual show of what you've got, but these are definitely supposed to be connected considering everything else in this image is connected. Kind of sloppy there, but whatever. Just caught my eye there. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at it. This one's going to be harder to fit in frame. Again, looks like it opens on the side here. And I'll do my best to open this the correct way, since I learned from the last terrain set that you don't want to open it backwards. So it slides out like this. And here's the terrain. So if you're an existing Heroscaper like myself, you honestly need this less than the water pack, in my opinion. Just because well, that's not entirely true. If you're replacing brittle terrain, this is probably going to be better for you. Time will tell how much this, holds up over time. Because obviously when originally Rise of the Valkyrie came out, the terrain wasn't brittle. It was just through the years, it got more and more brittle. So hopefully this terrain won't have that problem. But if nothing else, you can get nicer terrain right now. Missing some paint there. Looks a little sloppy. And I did notice, so these tiles go together great, just like with Wave 1 stuff, no complaints there. So we've got some 2 hex stone. I did notice on, where did it go? Yeah, this one here. Looks a little sloppy around the edges here, like there's some missed paint application there on both of these edges. And on that edge too. Not the end of the world. Again, this is supposed to be sort of like war-torn terrain. I imagine that these are machined, like the paint for this is machined because it looks pretty uniform across the edges here. And it would be pretty easy to just roll over this since all you have to avoid is getting paint, deeper into the recesses here, which is pretty easy to do by machine, I would imagine. So looks like a little bit was just misapplied there. These might even be stamped. In fact, that would make more sense for the missing application being so uniform. Again, not too big of a deal, but it is a little, hopefully they dial that in. So we've got some 7 hexes here. Looks like you get 5 of those. We had 6 of these rock 2 hexes. Got some 3 hexes. So these are the grass. These are the sand. Paint application looks nice on these. Got some 2 hex grass. And you got to remember on this kind of stuff that it is still painted. It is still fully 3D terrain. So the cost for this is going to have gone up over the past, 20 years. I do still think that this is pretty comparable to what you're going to pay for Rise of the Valkyrie terrain even, like right now. So I think that this is worth $70. Like, you can probably also find it for cheaper in other locations, but buying directly from Renegade, it's going to run you $70, and I don't think that that's unreasonable, honestly. This is high quality terrain. Heroscape always has been, and you know, now that they're releasing just terrain by itself, some other wargamers can get it, like BattleTech. I know that they use it. Even D&D, I've seen some people use it for campaign boards. So I think it's a smart move for Renegade to sell terrain by itself. Here is the Rock 2 hexes. I know Sir Heroscape missed those in his original unboxing of this. They are underneath the 7 hexes there, so I guess it's easy to miss. Here's the 1 hex grass. Get quite a few of these. And what's also good about this is that it allows you to have a good quantity of terrain to build some more, you know, tournament style maps, like some smaller size tournament maps. And I know that some map builders are already experimenting with this set of terrain, which is cool to see. Maybe now that I have it, I can, you know, try something out myself. Make a bigger desert style map. Could even incorporate the water tiles to make a larger, you know, oasis style map, which would be cool, since I'm more of a casual player. So underneath here, we have our 24 hexes. This is where I am very interested. So let's see what we've got. Since I've been one of the more vocal voices in the community since getting my hands on the Wave 1 24 hexes about their poor fitment, be interested to see if these fare any better. Now, you know what? Let me get one of my Age of Annihilation ones to compare. Okay, so this one right here is from Battle for the Wellspring, which is Wave 1. It's going to be the same as the original Master Set, or sorry, the original Renegade Master Set, Age of Annihilation. So this right here is our giveaway that it's the original mold. Looking at these here, so we see these little dots. We've been calling this the belly button in the community, so these little dots here show that this is the second mold. So let's see. Yeah, yeah, they definitely did improve it. The lines look a little more worn, and they're not as precise towards the edges there. Not as sharp, so let's compare that. They are still, in my opinion, sharper than the original molds, which are all these small tiles over here. But I do think that they're better. They look less uniform than this one on the right here. So that is cool to see. It's a step in the right direction for sure. Although I don't know if you can see that there, the paint application. Different shades going on. This one's a little warmer. This one's a little more washed out. Ooh. I gotta remember that this is brand new terrain, so even fitments like that might not be a sign of a problem, but we'll take a look. So we've got 2 of the 24 hex sands, or sorry, 2 of the 24 hex grass, 2 of the 24 hex sands, and 2 of the 24 hex rocks. Let's do the test. Yeah. I'm already seeing the same deformation that I was seeing earlier. Now, it doesn't seem as bad. I'm not seeing as many... Well, that was better. That was definitely better. Because I know in my original video that I made on these... man, it's still so tight. It's still warping up. Not great. So it doesn't seem like they changed the connector. Maybe I just got slightly luckier in that these are not as much, like there's not as much deformation on the insides here. Previously, when I was taking these apart, they would really connect in the center here. These edges would be bending out like crazy before the middle would finally pop out. But in this one, they're at least separating easier. They still don't feel great together, so there is still room for improvement there. Maybe I just got particularly unlucky in my original batch. Maybe they dialed in their tolerances a little bit, but from my discoveries for the original ones, it seems like the edge-to-edge fitment has not been corrected, although it is slightly better, and maybe that's the consequence of the new mold. It's just ever so slightly better. So I would say marginal improvements. I do still think that there is room to improve these connectors to get them more in line with the original ones. As you can see, the edges here still do not match the original molds. This to me is still just not great. I mean, I don't like, you have these as reference, and you've had these as reference the whole time. Every other one has them. I don't know how difficult it is to put this little step into each of these. Like, why does the edge not look like this? Why do you not have these little, lines on the edge there to give it that look coming over the side? Like, you have these physical models still to reference, and it should just be as simple as matching that in the model. So a little disappointing about that. Now, this is more of an aesthetic thing. If they fit perfectly fine and didn't have that, I'd be less critical. But the fact that it's just an overall, it's still not there for the quality of the originals, which is disappointing to see. Yeah, so that's Lands of Valhalla. Again, though, for the amount of new terrain that you get in a pack for $70, I do think that this is worth it. I don't think that these are unusable. I just think that there is room for improvement, and since we're paying a premium for these products, they should be improved. So that's my opinion on Lands of Valhalla.